Welcome back to the Cinema Scoop podcast with Sam and Jordan. Today we're going to be doing a monthly wrap-up episode. So I thought this would be a good idea to kind of just like recap the month, talk about a few things that we liked, that we saw, anything that was like the worst thing we saw this month, and then just kind of look forward to May to talk about what are some movies that we're looking forward to seeing in the month of May. Maybe it's like coming out soon or it's going to be on streaming soon. And then just kind of to hold space for any other media that we've really been into, whether that's a podcast or a TV show or a video game or a book or whatever. I know this is like predominantly a movie podcast, but I think it's fun to kind of talk about like other tangential things in media that we're liking. So
yeah, this will just be like a monthly recap episode of the best things we've seen and some other non-movie related stuff.
So I'm going to let Sam go first. We're going to start off with the topic of what were the 3 best movies you saw this month?
Yeah, so I took this as best movies you watched for the first time. And I think we both share Good Time by the Safdie brothers we watched for the first time. I'll let you talk more about that one, but I really liked Good Time, a really good performance by Robert Pattinson. Just one of those movies where the story continues to take crazy turns and you're not expecting what to come next. And I really liked the sequences, like the cinematography and the different parts that, I mean, it was very chaotic, the movie, where like they're running a lot and trying to escape from the cops and everything. So I'll let you talk more about Good Time. Do you want me to just give you my other 2 now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so my other one is Civil War, the new Alex Garland movie that I saw with my brother at the theater a few weeks ago. It was also mentioned on our A24 movie draft we just did.
We talked about Good Time on the A24.
Yeah, so
too.
Yeah, 2 of these are from that episode. I watched it recently, and yeah, Civil War, really good use of sound and the way that it follows these journalists to DC, and obviously everything's fictional and kind of removed from modern day actual American politics, which I think helps the movie, and you really see how different characters treat journalism and differing opinions on how to run a country and stuff like that. And I think it was violent at times. It was definitely very loud because apparently they used real full shells on the fake guns, so it makes it much louder. But yeah, I don't think it was made to like kind of say one thing or another. It was just more like, this is going to be bad either way. And because it was from the view of these journalists, it's like you're kind of just taking the picture and like being like, this is what happened. Like, this is what was there. And it's up to the viewer to decide the context of what they're seeing. And then my last one is Rip Van Winkle. I had a lot of other movies I could have picked for this slot. But Rip Van Winkle is a 1987 Francis Ford Coppola directed, kind of made for TV, 49-minute. It's one of those Shelley Duvall hosted stories, for lack of a better term.
I think it's called like Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tales or something.
Yeah, something like that. We rented this on a whim because it has Harry Dean Stanton as the lead, which is one of our favorite actors, and he has a funny beard and sleeps for 20 years. And like, I didn't really know much about this story, but I was like, the way the production sets were done, it's obviously very low budget, but they like made these very colorful set designs and different lights that they used, which I thought was very interesting. I mean, it's one thing just to be like, this is funny because it has Harry Dean Stanton with the giant beard and it's made for TV and it's kind of a joke, but I also really like it for all those things. So
yeah,
there were some other 4 stars that I could have picked, but I wanted to pick Rip Van Winkle.
If you're on TikTok at all, like the clip of Shelley Duvall saying, "Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall," like that's literally from this. A lot of people use that sound bite. Yeah, so I'll talk about my three best. Yeah, we do share Good Time, and we kind of already talked about this on the A24 podcast. But I really can't recommend it enough. Like, it is such a good movie. You know, I like that the aesthetics of it, but then I also feel like it's a pretty solid like thriller. I also think like Robert Pattinson just does like such a good job. And also like is it Benny Safdie is the one that acts in it? Okay. Yeah, so Benny Safdie does a really, really nice job too. He's not in like a ton of the movie, but he does a really good job. And I just feel like it's a movie that scratches such a specific itch in your brain for like a good thriller. I feel like there's a lot of movies now that are either horror or they're drama, but there's not a lot that's like a true good gritty thriller anymore. I feel like a lot kind of just ends up verging into either being more drama predominant and like more, you know, character focused, or it leans more horror and like body horror. And it's like, this is truly like middle of the road, just like thriller. So yeah, I really liked Good Time. I was really surprised by how much I liked it. I would totally rewatch it. I almost put Under the Skin here as my second pick, but I didn't, because I went with a different one that also has the word skin in the title. It's called Mysterious Skin. Completely separate movies, but both equally horrifying. Yeah, Mysterious Skin, I'm in parallel to Good Time. I don't recommend Mysterious Skin. Like, I just don't think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen that I genuinely cannot recommend to anyone, just because it's the hardest movie I've ever watched. Like, I've never seen anything that's as like just nauseatingly horrifying. But I also feel like it's kind of an important movie because of the subject matter that it touches on, and kind of just shows it in a really raw yet ethical way. I mean, it touches on like childhood trauma and how like we process that or choose not to process that, or I wouldn't even say like you choose not to process it, but like there's ways in which you sort of block it out and like you don't ever address it until and you write your own stories in your head about like what could be, or how it could have been, or what might have been happening to try to like cope. It's basically, I mean, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he's a lot younger, which is insane. Like, you know, I recently rewatched 500 Days of Summer and was like, oh wow, he's like a really good actor. Let me like try to revisit more of his movies. And then, yeah, I was also like on a Gregor Rocky kick right now. I'm trying to go through all of his films that he's directed. And in comparison to like Smiley Face, which I also love by him, this is just like tonally a completely different movie, but has similar type of like 90s grunge aesthetic, you know, punk ska type of references that he does in like all of his movies. But
yeah, that's one I'll have to see because I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I just may not see it with you. I think that the last movie to do this to me that I was like, I really don't know if I want to see that again, but it is a perfect movie, was Requiem for a Dream, which I don't think we've talked about on this podcast, but it's horrifying. It's just hard to watch, but it's one of those movies where you're like, I cannot deny that this is beautiful, but just really disturbing. And then the last one that was like part of my three best this month is the concert film for the Talking Heads called Stop Making Sense. I'm like super late to this. I think it's been around for a really long time. I've like liked the Talking Heads, generally speaking, for a while, but like I hadn't really started like actively listening to their music or like paying attention to, oh, I guess the Talking Heads wrote this song like ever. And then I saw the concert film and I was kind of like, oh, I really like this and I'm really into this. It's very like understated, just like use of lighting and use of like very minimal stage props. And then, you know, David Byrne just like dancing like a maniac and wiggling around the stage. So it's a fun time. It's more of a vibe than it is a movie. It's more of a concert than it is a film, but still like a very good like kind of comfort watch. And I've seen it twice now this month, and I understand why A24 is the distributor for it now, because it's very much like an A24 coded type of thing, but I would really like to own this on Criterion because that would be fun to like listen to the commentary and like any of the extra features just to like understand more about like, was this, you know, how many nights was this specific show put on, or was this like specific to that night, or did it evolve as they toured? Like, I just have so many questions. So yeah, those are my 3 best for the month.
Yeah, funny enough, you know, you showed me Stop Making Sense after you watched it, and I didn't care for it that much.
Yeah.
I'm probably in the minority. It wasn't bad. It was just, I was expecting too much, I think.
Yeah.
And it disappointed me, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, even if this was like my favorite band, I still wouldn't really care that much about this because I'm just not a big live music person. But I understand why you like it and why most people like it. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. I think also we talked about it too. It's like incredibly hyped on Letterboxd to a point where it's like, what's the catch? Like, why does everybody favorite this, and why does like everybody love this? And like, is it like what exactly is going to happen here? Like a magic show? Like, are they going to do some kind of like crazy special effects? Like, you're like expecting something big to happen when like secret, nothing really happens. It's just kind of, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like a lot of weird stuff happens, but nothing that's like, how did they film that? It's not like a feat necessarily in like production or anything. It's just, it's a good piece of media if you like live music and if you like lighting and if you like the Talking Heads or David Byrne. So, yeah. So what was your worst film? I think we might share.
I think we share. It's Night Swim.
Night Swim was terrible.
It's a 2024 movie, and I almost picked Argyle, which is very close. That one also just came out. Yeah, Night Swim, just got on Peacock, if you have Peacock. It's basically a family gets a new house and the pool is haunted. That's like the very basic. But like there's just random jump scares that are weird, and then it's like the whole first half you're like trying to figure out, is the pool haunted or is it the drain, or is it like just like are there just ghosts hanging around? Like it's very confusing. And then yeah, I don't know what else you want to say about it. Just overall it was just funny bad, when you know those horror movies where they're supposed to be scary but it's not and you're just laughing. Yeah.
The jump scares were very ineffectual. The scariness was very like cringy, almost like parts where people were like being evil, they were just saying like cringy lines, and I was like, we were giggling the whole time. So if that tells you anything, that's kind of how it went. And then the whole time Sam and I were kind of talking over it, going like, okay, what exactly is haunted? Is it the structure? Is it the drains? Is it the contents of the pool? And then we would be like, well, no, because, you know, they drained the pool, and it's not the structure because like the water is like evil and black and went into someone. So I guess it's not the structure, it's the water, but it can't be the water because they've drained it before. So like, where does that, like, none of it made sense. And like, I couldn't wrap my head around like, what is it that's haunted about a swimming pool? If it's not the water and it's not the pool itself, then what is it? Like,
yeah, like the throwaway explanation towards the end is just like their pool is connected to the groundwater somehow, and that makes it haunted. I don't know.
It was really silly. It was pretty silly, but the lead guy kind of just looked like Bo Burnham, and that's all I could think about the whole time.
We could also talk about Argyle for a minute or two.
Yeah,
Argyle, if I knew you were going to pick Night Swim, I would have also probably just taken Argyle, because I mean, you get Dua Lipa in the first few minutes, which is nice, but then after that it's straight downward, because it turns into like a semi interesting, fun, winking action spy movie for the first 5 minutes or less with Dua Lipa and Henry Cavill, and then it becomes the actual movie, which is Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell and a cat in a backpack just like stumbling their way across a spy-riddled
hellscape
plot that doesn't make sense, and there's constantly like, this person died, actually they didn't.
It genuinely feels written by a 13-year-old. Like, that's genuinely how like the dialogue feels, the like plot reasoning, Like just the scene where she's
There's bad CGI too. Like the
really
visual
bad.
effects were pretty bad.
I mean, it was just all around very bad. We watched it for Dua Lipa and we got a few minutes and that was it. And I was pretty pissed off because I was like, well, this isn't really her acting debut if she's in like the first
Well, she
few
wasn't
minutes.
Barbie as the mermaid Barbie for like 2 seconds.
She had 2 seconds of that. So I was thinking maybe Argyle, it was like maybe she's actually like a character.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't going to be that big of a part, but I thought she'd at least be in more than 10 minutes or whatever it was.
It was 5. I think it was 5
Yeah.
minutes. But yeah, it was pretty disappointing. But yeah, Night Swim, Argyle, don't really recommend unless you want to just clown on him the whole time.
All right, so movies we're looking forward to in May. I'll go first. I didn't have many specific ones. I'm still gonna keep watching these basketball movies to try and do my basketball movie bracket. We're hopeful to do a new recording this weekend on those. We're also thinking of doing a Kirsten Dunst episode soon, so we're gonna probably watch some of her movies in the next few weeks. And then as far as May 2024 releases, I'm very excited about Furiosa at the end of the month. And I think the Garfield movie is also coming out that weekend. So that's going to be 2 that we're interested in for sure.
Maybe we could try to take Grace.
Yeah, Grace is definitely excited for the Garfield movie.
Yeah, for sure. So the 2 that I'm most interested in trying to see this month, one of them we've already bought tickets for this weekend. It's Challengers, Luca Guadagnino. I can't say his name, but anyway, yeah, Challengers is supposed to be like really, really good. I've been very excited. I've talked about it a couple of times already just because I'm super excited for it. The trailer looks awesome. Anything Zendaya, I'm there. Yeah, so we might talk about that a little bit more after we've seen it. And then the second one that I think is available to rent at home now, so we might be able to rent it soon, would be Dev Patel's Monkey Man. I've heard really good things about that too. So yeah, those are kind of the ones I'm excited for. So this is the part of the episode where we kind of roll into talking about other media that we're really into this month or whatever we've been listening to. And it could be something that's like released recently or it released this month or what have you, but just whatever we're into right now. So Sam, what music have you been really into this month?
Well, so there's 2 music little topics I was going to bring up. So the first one is Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. And I would say it's probably already the song of the summer and it's
For sure.
about to be May. I couldn't name one other Sabrina Carpenter song, but I randomly heard the song and it's just like undeniably a banger.
It's a number 1 on the like charts right now.
Well, it should because it's awesome. And then there's the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. Kendrick Lamar just released his Euphoria diss track this morning.
6 minutes of absolute fire.
6 minutes, 3 different beat changes. I would highly, highly, highly recommend you figure out all the stuff about that and then listen to it. It's pretty great. I'm team Kendrick Lamar always.
Yeah, it's a really good track. I've listened to it a couple times now already just because it dropped a couple of hours ago when we're recording this. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, Kendrick Lamar is just a really good rapper in general. I'm not like super into rap, but it's like kind of undeniable.
Yeah, it's more about the context behind it and why he did it than the actual audible song. Like, the Espresso song is like audibly probably the best song since Say So, Doja Cat.
They're
very
sample the
close.
same beat.
They are very similar, but I mean that as far as like ultra reaching
Hyper pop,
summer
bubblegum
vibes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, so I have 3 I'll talk about. Well, in March, on my birthday, we got the Casey Musgraves new album, Deeper Well, which I just can't stop listening to the entire album. It's a no-skip album. It's so good. It's definitely like the I'm in my healing girl era type of album. She's on tour and I've seen a couple of like photos of just like her performing and just her outfits are top notch. Like she's awesome. I could talk about Dua Lipa and her upcoming album. But really, she only has like the 2 tracks out right now, Houdini and Illusion, off that album. So we'll probably get more of her soon. The one I will talk about that is about to launch her album, Brat, is Charlie XCX. And she has 3 singles that have already come off the album. So there's B2B, Club Classics, and Von Dutch. And they're all amazing. I'm definitely not going to get to go to the Sweat tour with her and Troye Sivan, but like I constantly am just like getting, the pictures on Instagram of like what people are thinking about wearing to the Sweat tour, or like TikToks of people talking about what they're going to wear to the Sweat tour. And I'm just like, I'm not going to go, but I want to so bad in my mind, because I would lose my mind. Like I would probably be super drunk or something. It would be super fun though. And then probably the number one obsession I have right now is Chappell Roan and her entire album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. I feel like she is filling a void in a way. Like it's not the hyper bubblegum pop void. It's like, if you're out of Taylor Swift songs to like and you need that same thing, or if you're out of Olivia Rodrigo songs to like and you need new content, it is like that, but like gayer. And it's great. They're like really, really good. And like a lot of them have like this like female rage quality to them that you can kind of like scream sing a little bit. So yeah, those are my 3 music. I'll quickly talk about some books that I read. I've been in my reading girl era again. I got a library card, and so I've been listening to audiobooks and stuff. But 2 books I read this last month, I read several, but these were kind of the best 2. I recently figured out who Emily Henry is, which I know is like, I'm definitely late on the train of that. You've probably seen her books at Target. They look like chick lit trash, but I'm here to tell you that they're actually really good. I read her book Happy Place that just came out, I think this year. And I'm about to just go through and read like a bunch of hers, because it had the ability to like make me laugh, actually make me cry, and it was like a really good kind of like slightly steamy romance. So I was very pleasantly surprised with how little cringe there was. Because like if you're going to read a romance novel, there's going to be some parts that just feel really silly and dumb. But I would say her book Happy Place, it's kind of similar in vein to, I was describing the book to you and you were like, isn't that kind of like Anyone But You, the movie with Sydney Sweeney? And I was like, yeah, it's basically like a book version of that. Or it's very similar at least. And then I also read the book that Poor Things was based off of, books also called Poor Things by Alistair Gray. This is a rare time where I think the movie is better than the book. But there was some like fun parts to the book that, weren't included in the movie that I think were fun and interesting. But I like what Yorgos did with the movie and the stuff that he added as far as, adding to the plot and things like that like didn't exist in the book. But yeah, those were the 2 books that I liked. The 2 podcasts I've been listening, I listen to like a few podcasts regularly, but 2 that I've listened to a little bit more recently. The first one is a new podcast called Lynchpins. It's basically like one of my favorite YouTubers, Maggie Mae Fish, who does like video essays on film. And she does a lot that are like David Lynch centric. Her and this other guy are doing a podcast where they just deep dive every single David Lynch movie. They only have 1 episode out right now. But if you're like David Lynch curious, I would say it's a great podcast to listen to like be supplemental information to help you understand the movies. And then this is not really a new one, but just one that I'm like starting to listen to more religiously, at the Broski Report. Yeah, I just love Brittany Broski, and I feel like she's always spot on with like she always has a way of being able to give like really good life advice while also being really, really, really funny. So yeah, those are kind of the main 2 podcasts that I've been into. And then I was just going to list out 2 YouTube videos that I liked this month that came out this month. Sam and I watch a lot of YouTube, at least daily. We're watching.
Well, it's the new TV.
It is, honestly.
I feel like anyone under 35, if they're not on their phone, they're watching, they might be watching YouTube on their phone, but I feel like if you've got a TV and you have it hooked up to the internet, you're going to watch YouTube.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who don't watch YouTube like I do. And then I have a couple of friends who are like, no, I get it. Like, I do too. So, you know, every lunchtime we're sitting there watching Cody Co videos for the most part. But the two specific videos that are like a little bit longer format, you could call them video essays, that I would recommend that people watch just about random topics. So there's this creator called The Queer Kiwi, and she did a video called In Defense of Baby Girl Men, which I thought was a really interesting kind of take on the cultural impact that using the term baby girl to define men has had on people in a positive way, and then how people have taken it as a negative, derogatory thing towards all of men, and how it's just not necessary for it to be thought of that way. It's always meant affectionately. It's never meant as a way to like emasculate men. I just thought it was a really good video. She puts out videos like at least once a week, and they're always really thoughtful and interesting and funny too. And then the other one, I think we saw late last week, a couple days ago, one of our favorite creators, Drew Gooden, put out a Cars Are Getting Dumber video where he's talking about just like the Tesla truck or the Cybertruck, and he rents it for a day and kind of just like talks about how completely unuser friendly it is. And it was very, very interesting. And also Drew just always has very funny videos in general. So yeah, those were a couple of YouTube videos that I liked from this month. And that was a couple of pieces of media that we liked from the month. We'll be back soon, hopefully with our Kirsten Dunst little and basketball. Yeah. And then we'll try to do this.
Yeah, we'll try to do this at the end of every month, where we just go over kind of what we just did. So
cool.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye.